2001 election betrayed the community when it really mattered, or in the case of some others, remained silent and submissive to their party line. So, do MPs have to eventually toe their party line?
Unless and until you have your own representation in the House of Commons, nobody is going to listen to you. If you want to have your voice heard, you must have your own MP who can speak for you, who will have same religion as you, same background as you.
I am of the opinion that joining a certain political party is permissible. There's nothing wrong with it, provided it is not at the expense of a Muslim faith and a Muslim code of morality.
You do need an MP in the parliament because MPs are so powerful. They can make or break. You know, there is a saying that British MP can do and undo anything and everything except making a man a woman and a woman a man. So you can imagine how powerful they are.
Currently, the House of Parliament has 559 seats. So for Muslims to achieve any kind of majority, we need to have 330 MPs at least to have a majority on Muslim interest issues or Muslim interest-based issues. That is impossible because at the moment we only have 2. So this situation of being involved, we will always be in the minority. And if you look at any minority group in any political system, they always get the crumbs. They will never get the cake. And I believe, sadly, the people who do get elected into these positions, I believe sometimes lack ability. Sometimes they do not speak out, not to rock the boat. And a lot of them, sadly, are careerists who have made the political path a career. Some of them actually do it to have a family honor. So I think it's very much self-interest based rather than community benefit.
The Labour Party in this country promotes hypocrites, people like Lord Nazir Ahmed, who recently said thousands of Muslims fought for the Union Jack. What about the hundreds of Muslims who faced the British firing squad during the First World War rather than fight against the Caliphate when the Shaykh al-Islam had pronounced that war a jihad? Did he mention them? Of course he did not.
My transition actually happened during the debate on the impending war on Iraq. Labour politicians, liberal-minded, who I had marched with on the issues of disarmament, CND marches, on the issues of Nicaragua and Cuba, and obviously, of course, the apartheid regime in South Africa. When it became a situation of bombing Muslims of Iraq, they had no qualms. And I saw the double standards in those people, socialists, so-called, liberal-minded, that when it came to Muslims, they applied a different rule.
Khalid Mahmood and Muhammad Sarwar were MPs who have actually betrayed the Muslim community at every turn. Recently, over the anti-terrorism debate, they both voted for the government against the interests of the Muslim community. So quite frankly, these MPs are laughable. And I'm telling you something, it's not the fact that these MPs are bad people. It's actually the fact that these political parties, they corrupt you. When you join them, they corrupt you. They give you goals, they give you aspirations, they give you personalized interests, which makes you further away from your community. We went to see Khalid Mahmood during the Iraq war, and we said to him, look, make a statement. Make a statement that's going to rock the House of Commons, because you have that ability, because you supposedly are in a very grand position, as you claim. He said, I'm not here for the Muslim community. I'm not here for her interest. I've got a wider constituency, and I don't need to abide by the narrow interests of the Muslim community. Come on, man, this man has blood on his hands. Really has blood on his hands. And I'm telling you, any Muslim that joins these political parties in the future are going to be in the same predicament, and in the future are going to betray the Ummah like them. And if they don't betray the Ummah, them into place, and make sure that they speak according to the party line.
The Muslims who are in Parliament have no influence. In fact, they are influenced by the party to collude in their anti-Islamic policies. And I think that by voting for these people, even when they have Muslim names, we too collude in the crimes which these parties are committing against the Muslim Ummah.
The last Conservative MP from Bethnal and Bo was an Indian, and his name was Marwanji Vavanagri, and his local colleagues used to call him Bow and Agree. That means whatever they say, he used to bow and agree. But I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to feel what I feel is good for me, for my religion, and for my community, and for my society. So I don't have to take the party line. I give you just one example. My party asked me that they went to the war against Iran. Do I support it or no? I said no. So you see, they have still selected me. So I have got the freedom, I've got my liberty, and I will use that liberty.
The minority parties, such as Respect, are based upon principles that are not necessarily pro-Islam. Yet, Respect, led by Mr. George Galloway, is perceived to be the champion of the Muslims. Respect strongly supports the withdrawal of the British troops from Iraq and also stands against the hijab ban in France. However, others may argue that Respect is a socialist party and the principles of socialism contradict the ideals of Islam. To clarify some of these points, let us see what Mr. Galloway has to say regarding his party, Respect.
Everyone in the country knows that there are only two possibilities after the election for government, either a Tory government or a Labour government. You might wish there were other realistic options, but at this moment in 2005, those are the options.
As you may know, we actually won the elections in Tower Hamlets on June the 10th last year. We were the #1 party, beating parties that had been around for hundreds of years, whilst we ourselves were 20 weeks old, 5 months old. We were the first party in Tower Hamlets and the second party in Newham.
I agreed with the government's objective, which was to ensure that people who they had evidence that wanted to commit a terrorist attack were not wandering around the streets. I could understand that objective, but there are minimum standards, human rights standards that we cannot transgress. And that's why I sat for 9 hours in that chamber, where incidentally George Galloway never turned up to speak on that. He talks a lot about it before an election, but when MPs actually had the chance in the British Parliament to discuss it and say what they thought was right or wrong, he didn't turn up because he's often like an absentee landlord. His voting record is 3%. He's never there.
Well, if I was a bad constituency MP, how come I was re-elected 4 times to the House of Commons? If I didn't participate in the House of Commons, how come I'm the parliamentary debating champion? You'll see a picture on the wall there of me with the silver plate being presented as the champion debater in Parliament. The adjournment debate on the Iraq War, that charge, if it's a charge, is completely absurd. Nobody stood against the Iraq War in Parliament and outside Parliament more strongly than me. I don't know if you know the rules, but the rules are you must vote for the government's motion or Mr. Michael Howard's amendment. I seldom wish to vote either for Mr. Blair or Mr. Howard, and there isn't any way of recording an abstention. But as you find me here now in Parliament, let me tell you that I'm in Parliament every day. I come in here in the morning and I work until it's time to get behind the wheel, as I'm about to do now, and drive to yet another public meeting. If all the MPs in Britain did as much work as me, we'd have a better Parliament, believe me.
At the last council by-election, they voted Respect and they got a Tory, the first Tory councillor in Tower Hamlets in living memory, who wants to do nothing for the Muslim community. And Muslim people here know that a Tory MP would be the same. That's the biggest threat posed by Respect. It's already happened. It's not something I'm just saying. Tower Hamlets people know it because it happened.
Well, we are the #1.